it's green. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the April 11, 2023 meeting of your Prior Lake Spring Lake Watershed District Board of Directors. We welcome you to the meeting this evening, and let's start the meeting off as we typically do, Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you all very much. All right, we have, as do most public bodies, the opportunity for the public to be able to make a presentation of any item they think is noteworthy and useful for the Watershed Board to hear. We ask you to limit your comments, but is there anyone in the room who wishes to make such comments? Do meander up to the rostrum, is that what they're called these days? Up to the public area. I see none, therefore we'll move right along the meeting here. I'm seeking a motion to approve the agenda either as submitted or with amendments. Let me first ask the staff, any adjustments to the agenda whatsoever? Okay, thank you. Members of the board, any changes in the agenda? Seeking a motion to approve as submitted then?
Yeah, so moved.
All right,
Sorry.
nice. Okay, so motion, Burnett, second, Toffanelli. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye. Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Okay, we're on our way. So first item under old and new business is programs and project update, as is our tradition.
Good afternoon. We'll start off with some lake level data. So just this week, we were beginning to install our stream and lake level loggers, and we are still in the process of just working, making sure those loggers can communicate with our website so that everyone can get live data on that. As of last Friday, Prior Lake was at 899.11 feet. And just for a little bit of perspective, I took the number from last year at this time, and we're starting at about 1 foot lower than last year. Spring Lake, we're at 910.6 feet as of last Friday, and we're basically at the same level as we were last year at this time. And just for a little bit more background here, when are the lakes gonna fill up? Just another perspective. So we all kind of know upper watershed lakes need to fill up first, and right now they are full and they're outflowing downstream into Spring Lake, and then Spring Lake needs to fill up and outflow into Prior. So Spring, and it's currently outletting in upper and lower Prior. We're going to see those filling up over the next few weeks, and that's going to be highly dependent on weather primarily. Highlights from carp management this month. Our carp espionage program, volunteer program, is up and running, and we've already seen a sighting of carp building up in Mud Bay, so that's really exciting. 2 of our staff attended the Common Carp Research and Implementation Workshop this month, and that was hosted by the University of Minnesota Aquatic Invasive Species Research Center. And at this workshop, WSB highlighted our carp management program, and in particular, kind of the innovative practices that we have, some of our results, and just that view that carp management is an ongoing process and it's not just a single thing that you can check off and no longer have a carp problem. We have the possibility for an open water seining this coming weeks between ice off and fishing opener. So we'll continue to try to track at least once a week to kind of keep our eyes on where the fish are at. Other monitoring actions that are happening. We are in the midst of the monitoring the ice out conditions. So as of today, a lot of our smaller lakes are already iced out. So we're just keeping an eye for those big ones, Upper Pryor and Lower Pryor. And then we also did some dissolved oxygen chloride monitoring this winter for the first time. We did some of our main lakes and then some of our smaller ponds. And the reason we did this, one reason is because we expect chloride levels to be high in the winter from road salt and other things. And we did not see any significant changes in chloride levels this winter. So it wasn't a problem, and it remains to not be a problem in most of our lakes, or in any of our lakes. Another reason why we wanted to do this is low oxygen levels can cause fish kills. So we found that in all of the ponds that we surveyed this winter were all anoxic. So we are expecting some fish kills in Silt Pond and Cates Lake, Jeffers, and Pike. And then the good news is that our main lakes did maintain good oxygen levels to sustain healthy aquatic life.
Okay, taking over the mic here. Just run through some updates on our projects, where we're at. First, I'll go over some cost share projects. We have 2 that came in from Soil and Water in this last month. They are both classified as other practices. They're not in our traditional cost share docket categories, so we will need board approval to move forward on them. So this is meant to brief you on them, and then you can decide. I can bring forward something for your consideration at a future meeting. They are both prescribed burns, unless I'm remembering incorrectly. This is a prescribed burn on Moen property. It would be used to continue improve the prairie's ability to reduce runoff, improvement, and provide pollinator and wildlife habitat. So low cost, a project that requires approval. Second, yep, I was right, is also prescribed burn and would be on a property Lydia Zion Methodist Church. Same purpose is there, and relatively as well. So those will be for your consideration. I just have had this slide the last meeting. I think it's helpful to just outline all of the projects that are ongoing, and that there's more suggestions every day with working with people and partners. So I'll consider maybe in future meetings highlighting, but I think there's a lot going on projects. This is a busy time of year, so I'll go through updates on all of them today. The first area to talk about is Sutton Lake Management Plan, or Sutton Lake. I won't go into management plan because we'll cover that in a later agenda item. But I have been continuing to meet with landowners and reach out on an enhanced sand filter location in the Sutton Lake area, and still following up on concerns or questions to see what's feasible on those sites. Another area that was touched on tonight is the Spring West area. I did a feasibility study that proposed 2 different types of projects. The Spring West Enhancement is currently overlaying an area that has a zoning amendment request in. That project is on hold until that zoning request is determined. That will outline whether it's a cost-effective option for us or not. The other project element in that feasibility study was an iron enhanced sand filter, and that outreach is ongoing. So moving forward with those. The Bucky's Wetland I will also save for a later agenda item. You'll see that draft coming to you this meeting. You'll also see in the consent that there's a draft RFP to look at lifetime analysis of our ferric chloride system. So how much lifetime do we have on our tank, the system? Are there updates we should consider for increased efficiency? and safety, and that's there for your approval, hoping to move forward and keep this very essential system well. 2 other projects coming down the pipeline: Swamp Lake, phosphorus and peak flow reduction. That will really begin to kick off now here with the snow melting out. We have a meeting with the we'll be running that on the 26th, and then we'll be starting that work. The Fish Lake Management Plan I gave an update on in the board workshop, so I will not repeat, but that plan will begin a pretty robust engagement schedule coming up here, including this Thursday at the township meeting. Several potential flood reduction projects to be considered at this time. Projects 6 and 1 were selected by the board to be the first pursued this year. So far, my conversations with landowners in those projects are not overly optimistic, but I'll continue to see what's possible and bring that back for consideration if it's worthwhile to move to another project. Project 5 is being considered for development, and I'll continue to do the outreach projects and agency outreach when it's appropriate in developing those projects. Another current style of flood reduction project that's ongoing is the channel pipelining. We presented a request for proposals, the PLOC cooperators. That was approved, and we have entered into contract with WSB to manage the bidding of a contractor for the pipelining and managing construction. So that preliminary estimate will be presented at the May 9th board meeting for consideration, as that work will require a PLOC budget amendment. Any questions?
Questions at all? No? Hearing none? Thanks very much for that update. We appreciate that. Agenda is item 4.2, permit application 23.01, Fish Point Road, Phase 2, City of Prior Lake. Will that be Mr. Monsrud? Welcome, Mr. Monsrud. Good to see you again.
Thank you, Chair Boyles and managers, for having me here today. As usual, we're in once a year to get a permit for our road reconstruction projects. This year, you'll see on your screen, we are doing the red portion of Fish Point Road, which we are calling Phase 2. In 2021, we did the fingers off of Fish Point Road, all the cul-de-sac, Miller, Omega, Glory, Timber, Hidden Oaks, and got those completed. We did have to take a year to construct our downtown, and now we're back on the Fish Point area. So we are proposing some past projects going into a deficit for our stormwater credits. We have amended that MOA, and both Joni and I have worked through it, and city's agreeable to the contract terms as well. And really, for what that is we owe the districts some water quality management. We do have a project identified to be completed in 2024, just south of McDonald's, modifying a very large pond there. We do have, our CIP does identify just under $1 million for this project. That'll take care of our deficit and then provide us credits for our future reconstruction projects. So we are looking for the board to approve our permit so we can keep going on work, and I am available for any questions you may have. Appreciate it.
Staff, any comments by either of you or any of you?
Vice President Boyles and managers. So once again, the permit has come through. Staff have put in your packet, there is our review comments that had some conditions of additional submittals that we would want to receive before we actually issue the permit. And I believe we have received most of those conditions have been met as of today. So the board has options for how to act on this permit application. They can approve the application for Phase 2, subject to the conditions noted in the permit application and the staff review comments. You can table the item, extend the application until a future specified date, and provide the applicant with direction on issues that have been discussed here. Or you may deny the application, stating the reasons for denial. Staff recommends option 1, that the board approve the permit application for Phase 2, subject to conditions noted in the permit application and staff review comments, which I just said they have now met all of the conditions that were outlined in the staff review comments.
Perfect. Any questions at all by board members? I note that the permit application, page 1 of 2, there's a couple of typos in there. For example, it refers both to Phase 2 and 3, and I know it isn't intended to. It's just 1, so, or excuse me, just 2. Will be modified, as will the project size, acres to 5.7. Just small stuff, but things that probably would clean up the record. And finally, since we don't charge for municipal projects, I believe that's the case, right? Is it appropriate to have the permit fee, deposit, information, and conditions in there? I can see where we're charging it, but there are some conditions in here that would be if there is no fee.
Vice President Boyles, we do not charge a fee to our municipal partners, but as a way to ensure that construction of our stormwater features is compliant with our rules, we do require that the contractor for the city provide us some security. Gotcha. For that. So they have provided, the contractor has provided that security so that we have the ability to draw upon those funds if we ever need to, if we do not believe that they're constructing things compliant with our project.
And so those conditions are applicable to the contractor?
That is correct.
Okay, very good. That was the only questions I had. Hearing no more, get a motion to do one of 3 things. The recommendation is to approve.
I motion to approve option 1.
Okay. Is there a second? Okay. Manager Burnett and Raffinelli, motion and second. Further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, sign. Very good. Congratulations. We'll look forward to seeing that brand new Fish Point Road. Can you get it done before the Lakefront Music Fest? I know you can't. All righty. Next agenda item is 4.3, Sutton Lake Management Plan approval, and this is a vote as well.
Okay, I had to pass the fingerprint test there. So the Board of Managers has reviewed the Sutton Lake Management Plan several times for board workshops. Over the past year, the overall goal of that lake management plan is to enhance communities and wildlife habitat in the lake, specifically increasing the frequency and density of native emergent plant species like wild rice and bulrush, and increase the submerged aquatic plant species diversity. Additionally, a supportive goal of that would be reduce density of invasive cattail in the large areas of floating mat on the lake. So you'll see in the plan that's drafted for your approval tonight that lake drawdown is a management tool that's suggested in the plan and can promote plant diversity and address those objectives. Initially, DNR was advising that they're going to require cattail removal prior to permit down, but they have since reversed that opinion and are supportive of the plan as it is included in the packet tonight. So we have the good fortune of just experiencing it down. So Prior Lake Spring Watershed District will monitor the natural drawdown for the next 5 or more years to inform future management. That will give us a good idea of if drawdown is a good fit for this lake before we go the pathway. Typically, drawdown is not needed frequently. It's on a recurrence of 5 to 20 to even 50 years, just mimicking natural ebb and flow of lakes. Kind of can be a reset, but it can be an intense experience. So we get to see what that is like for Sutton Lake. Cattail management, one of those objectives outlined in the goal, was challenging based on DNR feedback. Their comments suggested that mechanical removal equipment will not be able to access the lake. Chemical treatment would require a variance from DNR based on the characterization of Sutton Lake as a natural area. Burning would be hard to manage due to the setting. Cutting is unlikely to be successful because it's floating. So cattail management is a possible tool, but it will be a challenge. There's possible opportunity to integrate any of those techniques in drawdown if that is pursued in the future. So this is just a brief update because the outcome of the plan was pretty simple, that drawdown may be the best option to promote those goals, and we have a way to assess the efficacy of that method in the near future. So, if
Board members, questions? Manager Toffanelli.
The report mentions drawdowns at a maximum every 4 years, or is it a minimum every 4 years? But that being
maximum.
maximum every 4 years, so it wouldn't be something you could do annually.
No.
Okay.
Other questions with respect to the proposed plan? There's no resolution in the packet or anything like this. This is just intended to be a motion and second to approve the plan, correct? Okay, just want to be sure I understood. All right, hearing no further questions, could I have a motion on this agenda item?
A motion to approve the Sutton Lake Management Plan.
Thank you. All right, motion by Manager
Mørkeberg.
huh?
Mørkeberg.
Yes, Morkerberg. Sorry, guys. Second by Manager Burnett. Any further discussion at all? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. All right, the plan is approved with to Manager Moore.
Just one last.
Oh, yes, question?
Yes, to staff is just continue the good work of working with the landowners and listen to their suggestions, and it may be an option to work with a soil and water conservation district in terms of lake management as well.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
All right, next item is 4.4, Buck Wetland Enhancement Feasibility Study. This also is a vote.
Great. So the Board of Managers have also feasibility study reported at past board workshops, but I will review the general premise as it's in the packet today for approval. So the Wetland Enhancement Feasibility Study originally at 2 wetlands, the west and east wetland. Based on landowner feedback, the east wetland was the wetland pursued. There was no interest in the west wetland. Oh, apologies for that. It's switching that. It's the Buck West that was pursued, not east. Thanks, Joni. In that Buck West wetland, there were 4 scenarios developed, so I will walk through them, but they, in general, grow from minimal change to the most land use change. So scenario 1 is really just looking at enhancing the wetland in its current state. So it would do minimal manipulation of the land, remove some reed canary grass. This would provide no additional flood storage benefit, but would have a minimal water quality benefit. Scenario 2, that concept would enhance the existing wetland in its current size and include an iron enhanced sand filter to increase the water quality benefits of this wetland. So you can see the iron enhanced sand filter is in the green hash there, and that results in a higher construction cost as well. Scenario 3 looked at just focusing on flood reduction, what a scenario would be to increase how much water could be stored there without the focus of water benefit. So this includes no iron enhanced sand filter, but more water stored. And finally, scenario 4 includes all of the options discussed. So increased flood storage, as well as an iron enhanced sand filter for water quality benefits. If the watershed could choose their optimum choice, this would be it because it provides the most benefit. However, based on feedback from landowners, we do believe that scenario 1 and 2 are the most feasible and interesting to the underlying landowners. Here's a table that summarizes those different scenarios, their water quality benefit, flood reduction benefit, then costs associated with them. So the recommendation that staff would have going forward is to continue landowner conversations, but to set our sights on scenario 2 as the most likely optimistic outcome for the watershed district. Our next steps are board acceptance of the feasibility study. It doesn't require that we outline which scenario we are targeting, and then continuing our landowner engagement to see what is possible. The district will continue to seek the option with the most benefit. And then if we do receive land interest, we would move forward with pursuing agreements, easements, and then moving forward into design and permitting. That's
it?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
All right. Any questions at all? This is through scenario 2, correct? Or
The feasibility study would be adopted with all of the scenarios inclusive. More just reporting out that to acknowledge landowner feedback that scenario 1 and 2 are more likely options.
okay, thank you. Manager Toffanelli.
On the cost of each scenario, those are not cumulative, are those individual? Is that how those are set up?
Yep, that is correct. They are individual costs.
Okay, thank you.
And you can see how scenario 2 and 4 are quite higher because the 2 scenarios that involve an iron enhanced sand filter.
Other questions? No? All right, is there
Motion to approve the Buckland Wetland Enhancement.
motion to approve by Manager Morkenberg? I got it that time. Second by Manager Toffanelli. Any further discussion? Hearing no further discussion, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. The motion passes. All right. Next item is 4.5, annual report approval. This too requires a vote. Why are we doing all the hard work when Manager Loney is away? Staff, do you want to go ahead and give us a report?
Yes, of course. Included in the packet, you will find the draft 2022 annual report for your approval. That report includes a lot of updates of all of the great work that occurred in 2022. I thought time would be best used here to go through the exceptional items. Of course, the ongoing continuing monitoring and work that we do every year is wonderful, but it's a good opportunity to look back on the highlights of our annual report. One thing that we accomplished this year is completing the Fish Lake Shoreline and Prairie Restoration Project. So you can see that involved some interpretive signs along the shoreline and rain with pollinator strip on the right. We also received MAWS, which is now Minnesota Watershed's Program of the Year Award for our carp management program. Removed over 9,000 pounds of carp from spring and prior lakes. So this was a couple of those methods: barriers, electrofishing, and bluegill stocking. We manage curly leaf pondweed on spring and prior lakes. Held a Growing Healthy Soils workshop. Completed 2 feasibility studies. One was the Sutton Iron Enhanced Sand Filter, and the other was Spring West Iron Enhanced Sand Filter and Wetland feasibility study. We also began transitioning to a new monitoring database called Whiskey. Will offer a higher functionality in reporting and analyzing our data. And we updated. We prevented 48 aquatic invasive species violations from entering watercraft into our lakes. And completed repairs on the Prior Lake outlet channel. And of course, that is not inclusive of all our work, but I didn't want to be duplicative of the evaluation progress covered in the workshop.
Thank you. Questions at all about this agenda? Again, the purpose is to vote to approve or deny the annual report. Hearing no questions, can I get a motion?
Motion to approve?
Manager Burnett, motion to approve.
Second.
Manager Toffanelli, second. Any questions whatsoever? Manager Morkenberg. Oh, I'm sorry. Thought you were, and I can tell whether it's red or green, so that's real good. All right, we have no questions whatsoever here. There is a motion and second on the floor. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. And that motion passes as well. So next item, 4.6, and that is actually 2 different resolutions moving money for specific purposes. Resolution 23-368 amends the 2023 budget to reclass or reclassify funds from 509 Implementation Fund 570 to 573 Programs and Benefits to 648 Permitting and Compliance. And you want us to handle these separately? Is that the
Vice President
preference?
Boyles, no, let's, I'll present some information and then I'll ask to vote both
Okay.
individually at the end.
All right, the second one is Resolution 23-369, amending 2023 budget. 611 is the line item, fish management, rough fish removal budget line item. There you go. So staff can provide us with a report on these 2 resolutions, please.
Vice President Boyles and managers. So in the 2023 budget, we did include funds for salary and benefits associated with a permit coordinator. Ultimately, the district has decided not to hire a permit coordinator, but rather to retain Scott Soil and Water Conservation District to provide permitting services to the district for a fee of $49,000. Actually, as a side note here, we have Joe Hale here from Scott Soil and Water. Joe is going to be helping us with a lot of our permitting activities. He sat in tonight just to monitor the permit application for the city of Prior Lake. You will be seeing a lot more of Joe and a few other folks from Soil and Water. So I just wanted to acknowledge Joe here this evening.
Welcome.
So with that, so once again, Resolution 23-368, amending the 2023 budget to reclass $49,000 from salaries and budgets to pay to regulatory permitting and compliance budget line item to cover Scott Soil and Water Conservation District's services. Once again, this, if we scroll down, if you look at the proposed amendment of the implementation fund, you will see in the column number 1 resolution that basically you'll see that we are pulling out $49,000 from our program salaries and benefits line item, increasing the budget item for permitting and compliance. It is really a net neutral item for the budget. We're just really just classifying expenses from one budget line item to the next. For Resolution 23-369, in 2022, in the 2022 budget, included $12,000 in that budget for the purchase of a backpack electrofishing unit. Unfortunately, the purchase of that electrofishing backpack was delayed and did not occur in 2022. The 2023 budget does not include a budget for the purchase of this item, and it is a very important piece of equipment to advance the district's carp management program. On February 14th, the managers did approve the purchase of this backpack electrofishing unit using the district's reserve funds. So the resolution tonight is really a formality. So Resolution 23-369 is amending the 2023 budget to increase the fish management rough fish removal budget item by $8,900 to cover the cost of the backpack electrofishing unit. And those funds for that are coming out of the district's budget reserves. So that will increase the district's budget by $8,900. So staff is recommending that the Board of Managers approve Resolution 23-368 and Resolution 23-369.
And you'll take questions on both now, if there are any?
That is correct, Vice President
Okay.
Boyles.
All right. Does the board have any questions on either of the two resolutions before us? No? No? No. Okay, very good. Could I have a motion to approve Resolution 23-368, please?
Motion to approve 368 and 369.
Motion to approve, Manager Morkeberg. Second. Second? Uh-oh. Second, Manager Toffanelli. All right, any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye, please.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. And that passes. Now Resolution 23-369, and I distinctly heard Manager Burnett move this, didn't I? Out of equity. So moved. Very nicely done. Second? Manager Morkeberg. Any discussions on Resolution 23-369? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. And it is adopted. All right. Well, we've waded through both of the resolutions there. Now we have our treasurer's report by our treasurer, Manager Morkeberg.
Thank you, Vice President Boyles. Our financial situation is looking fine. We are on or below our budget. In general, our expenses way towards the end of the year due to getting our invoices later. Joni just reviewed and we voted on the budget resolutions with the adjustments. And the audit is ongoing now. It's looking good so far, and the draft is being reviewed by our accountant, Chris Knopek, and Joni together. And they plan to have the final audit presented at our May board meeting. We received PLOC payments from our two largest contributors other than ourselves, and that is Prior Lake City and Shakopee. And we have also transferred fund to the PLOC fund. So the contingency PLOC fund, Prior Lake Outlet Channel, the contingency fund is now at the desired level of 260,000, and the maintenance OM fund is up to 233,000. So it was negative end of last year, but now it's positive. Our restricted and committed funds had a slight increase due to this. It's up at 1.5 million. Our available cash is currently 1.1 million. We also received 41,000 in grants for the Fish Lake Management Study and this Swamp Lake Water Quality Project.
That concluded?
That's it. Thank you.
Any questions for Treasurer Morkeberg? Any questions? Any questions? Could I have a motion to approve the treasurer's reports? So moved. Manager Toffanelli moves. Second. Manager Burnett, seconds. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Our treasury reports are approved. We have a consent agenda item with a considerable number of items on there, although I don't think there are too many variances from what we have had in the past. There are the meeting minutes for March 14, 2023 board workshop, meeting minutes for March 14 board meeting, meeting minutes from January 26, 23 CAC meeting, claims list and visa expenditure summary, League of Minnesota Cities liability coverage waiver, Blue Water Science aquatic plant survey contract, Three Rivers Park District water quality monitoring contract, Prior Lake, Spring Lake Watershed District website redesign, request for proposals, and finally, ferric chloride system assessment request for proposals. Those last two items perhaps are new on the consent agenda, but I think it's a good idea that the managers have the opportunity to take a look at the RFPs and give them a good send-off before they're sent out to our various vendors. I presume those are reviewed by the attorney, or
We have solicited opinions from attorney as we felt we needed to receive some advice.
all right. Is there anyone who would like to move the consent agenda? Lock, stock, and barrel, or, I'm sorry, you can also remove items from the consent agenda if you wish.
I motion to approve the consent agenda.
Motion to approve, Manager Burnett.
Second.
A second by Manager Morkeberg. Any further discussion on those items? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Consent agenda is approved. Last item for the meeting is upcoming meeting event schedule. Our CAC is meeting, I believe, April 27th, Thursday. At least that's what it indicates here. I know that they're doing some fine tuning. Do you believe that this is still the date?
I do.
Okay. And that is here at City Hall in Wagon Bridge Conference Room. Board of Managers Workshop is Tuesday, May 9, 4 p.m., as always in the Parkview Conference Room. And finally, the Board of Managers meeting right here in the City Council chambers, Tuesday, May 9, commencing at 6 p.m. That was simply for information. Does staff have any additional information we want to convey before adjourning this meeting?
Vice President Boyles, I guess the one other thing to quickly talk about from the financial standpoint is that we do some investments that are coming due here in the next week, and Manager Morkenberg and myself will be meeting with our financial advisor to figure out how to best, we believe that the securities that are coming due, we should reinvest them, and we will be figuring out the best return that we can get for those funds.
Are those actions then, is that something you take unilaterally, the treasurer and the staff? Or does that come to the managers here for some kind of approval? I could see how that would be awfully procedural, if you know what I mean.
Our governance manual does provide the authority for the district treasurer along with the district administrator to make those investment decisions.
Terrific. Okay, thank you. Any other comments?
Beyond that, no other additional information.
So it's time to adjourn. A motion to adjourn? So moved. Manager Toffanelli? Second. And Manager Burnett. Motion to adjourn. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. We are adjourned at, what would that be, 6:50, 2.5, 6:53. Thank you all.